What's going on, everybody out there? This is Popular Stranger, and we are back at you again today with another Madden 24 Ultimate Team video. In today's video, we're going to be going over the best abilities to be using on defense right now in Season 5. This is the third video of a mini-series that we dropped over the last 3 days. On Sunday, I dropped a video going over my 97 overall team, all the setups and abilities and X factors that I use on that squad. Yesterday, we covered the best abilities to use on offense, and of course, today we got defense. Down below in the comment section, as a pinned comment, those previous videos will be linked. So let's go on over to MUT.gg/abilities and go through the best abilities to be using on defense. I like to break it down by positional groups, so we're going to start with the defensive line and specifically outside defensive ends. Now, this can also count as outside linebackers who you put on your defensive line as part of the specialist screen to make them on the RLE or RRE. So if you're in a 3 or 4 down lineman set, that's still going to put them at defensive end. And without a doubt, the best two options are going to be Colossus, and this is an X factor, but there are certain cards that get it set up technically as an ability. It's an X factor that stays lit up for the entire game. So I will tell you with this card specifically, or this ability I should say, I had it on Brian Arakpo from the Combine promo, and it did nothing. Like, through 5 or 6 games, he was barely noticeable on the field. Now, he also has the option of Unstoppable Force, and I put that on him, and he became a totally different player, borderline unblockable, one of the best pass rushers in the game right now. So, Unstoppable Force, to me, is going to be better than Colossus, but if you use Colossus and it's working for you, keep going, keep using it. Some players that get it, because this is, again, treated as an X factor, but we're going to kind of see it as an ability. You got George Karlaftis from the Super Bowl promo, Warren Sapp, of course, which a lot of people have, and with the Super Bowl promo, if you use those lighted up tokens, they stay on for the entire game, so it's basically an ability out there. From the Combine promo, like I said, we got Brian Arakpo, aka promo, you got Matabeast, you got Reggie White's card. If you're trying to generate pass rush in this game, you need an Unstoppable Force pass rusher out there. Now, if you can't afford any of the players that get it, or you just simply don't want to use it, or you want to use your X factors on different positions on your defense, the best pass rush regular ability is going to be Double or Nothing, in my opinion. You see Brian Arakpo gets it for 0 AP, so basically you give him that plus the Unstoppable Force X factor. He is a demon. He gets to the quarterback so much. He's the only player to get it for 0 AP. There's a handful of people that get it for 1 AP. I will tell you, one of the budget options that I love out there is Legend Clay Matthews. He gets it for 1 AP, along with Lurk Artist for 0 AP, about 150 to 160k. Really good budget option. So if you find anybody with a 1 or 0 AP Double or Nothing and you need some pass rush and you don't want to do it with the lighted up X factors, this is the best route to go. No Outsiders works for some people, others it does not. I have it on a couple players and I don't really notice a huge difference. What I would say about this is if you can get it for 0 AP, similar to what MUT.gg is saying, go ahead and use it, assuming that you don't have any other abilities in that same bucket that you need to use. Otherwise, I wouldn't spend the 1 AP on No Outsiders. I just don't think it works frequently enough to justify spending the AP. For the interior of your defensive line, whether you rock 1 or 2 defensive tackles, depending on your formation, I still think inside stuff is supremely important. I know there's a lot of people out there with secure protectors on their offensive line, specifically their center and their tackles, and that is going to neutralize inside stuff to an extent. Also, double teaming and inside stuff shuts it down as well. But if you run a 4 down lineman set and you can get 2 inside stuffs at your defensive tackle positions, you can't double team 2 people, and there's not going to be, everybody isn't going to have secure protectors on their whole offensive line. Yes, a few people here and there might, but the majority of the people you go against are not going to know how to double team, and they're not going to have secure protectors. Therefore, I still think inside stuff is very valuable and works very good, and there's a ton of players that get it for 1 AP. Again, we talked about Warren Sapp getting Unstoppable Force with the lighted up token. He also gets inside stuff for 1 AP. Really good combination for him. And then, just speaking of defensive line, and this can hold true for linebackers as well, you have 2 different abilities that are going to be crucial, very crucial going forward to me, and that's going to be Secure Tackler and Tackle Supreme. So Secure Tackler is like the great value version of Tackle Supreme. Basically, defenders with this ability have an increased success rate when using conservative or diving tackles, but it's really good against those angry runs running backs like Bo Jackson, Marshawn Lynch, Emmitt Smith. I'm sure we're going to get more of those as the year goes on, so get ready for that. So if you can start to find defensive tackles, defensive ends, linebackers who have this ability, either secure tackler, and let's go over to tackle supreme. This one says defenders with this ability have a better conservative dive tackling. They are rarely faked out by ball carrier moves and cannot be faked out when user controlled. These are going to be great to stopping those, because normally you need like 2 or 3 people to tackle one of those angry runs running backs. Tackle supreme and secure tackler make that so you really just need the one person. So if you can start to build a defensive line that has that ability on everybody, that's going to limit the carries or the yards that those players will get against you. 100% without a doubt, if you're using a middle linebacker, an outside linebacker, or if you just have one on your field pretty frequently, you need lurk artists out there. Lurk artist is basically lurker, which is good for using, plus pick artist, which is good for non-usering and usering. It's probably one of the best abilities in the game. So there's tons of players right now that get it at 0 AP. We saw the refrigerator card get it, and he's a defensive tackle. We're starting to see defensive ends and of course outside linebackers get it as well. You just never know when it's going to kick in, whether you're using or not. But I've seen some crazy lurk artist plays when the CPU is controlling people and you don't think that they're going to jump or react to the football, and all of a sudden they do. So the more lurk artists on the field, the better. Then we have abilities like Avalanche, Crusher, Enforcer. If these abilities work for you, go ahead and continue to use them. For me, I don't think they're worth it, just because in the game, fumbling doesn't happen that often off of hit sticks. I mean, more fumbling happens spamming the R1 button or right bumper on Xbox trying to get those punch outs versus hit stick fumbles. So, you know, if you want to use those, continue to use them. One that I kind of forgot about on the D-line, and you can use it anywhere, but it's more important on the D-line, is defensive rally. This is an ability that gives the defenders on your entire defensive line basically a boost on 3rd and 4th down. So it's like a motivator for all the players on the field. And one player to really point out that gets it is Micah Parsons, which is a free card from the Team of the Year promo. You can get him all the way up to a 97 overall for free with any theme team chem that you want, and he gets that plus Speedster for 0 AP. Speedster isn't very good, but again, with any abilities, if you have an open bucket and it's a 0 AP ability, you might as well use it. You got nothing to lose there, as long as you're not just putting abilities on for no reason and wasting AP on them. So going back to linebackers and just guys who play in the middle of the field and general safeties that might be your sub linebackers, mid-zone KO is probably the best ability outside of lurk artists for them, and you can use mid-zone KO on your outside corners, your slot corner, your high safeties. Defenders with this ability force more catch knockouts, and if you played this game, you know how OP those are, and react quicker in any mid-field zone coverage less than 20 yards from the line of scrimmage and inside the numbers. Fred Warner is a great example of a player who, you know, he's almost 600K, but he gets mid-zone KO for 0 AP and lurk artists for 0 AP. So to have two of those really, really good abilities and get them both for 0 is huge. Ed Reed is another one who just came out this past weekend. He's going to get deep zone knockout, which we'll talk about in a moment, for 1 AP, but he also gets the mid-zone KO for 0. Charles Peanut Tillman just came out yesterday. He gets it. Sauce Gardner's another player to mention. So while we're talking about zone knockouts here, flat zone KO is very, very good as well. And there's a couple players, Team of the Year Sauce Gardner, Peanut Tillman, and there's one more, Patrick Surtain's weekly wild card, that get flat zone KO for 0 AP and mid zone KO for 0 AP, or pick artist for 0 AP. So if you're looking for a slot defender, flat zone for 0 and pick artist for 0, or flat zone for 0, mid zone for 0 are really, really good setups. That's what makes Sauce Gardner such a good slot cornerback. That plus he has really good speed and acceleration to blitz the QB as well. So if you run a lot of zone coverage, you need to be focusing on any type of zone knockout abilities. Mid zone KO, really good. Flat zone KO is a little more situational, but still very good. And of course, deep zone KO, which is a combination of deep in zone KO and deep out zone KO altogether, is the best ability on defense almost here. So there's only one player that gets it for 0, and he's basically $1.5 million coins in Kyle Hamilton, but he's a card I have on my team. Then there's a bunch of people that get it for 1 AP. A lot of the Team of the Year guys, Tariq Woolen, Madden, Jeremy Chin, Justin Simmons, a lot of combine guys as well. So if you had to pick between deep in and deep out because you can't get deep zone KO, you definitely want to go deep out because the majority of people throw outside the numbers when they're throwing downfield. It's a lot of streaks and things. But if you got like a mid zone KO in the middle of your field and then the deep zone KOs on your safeties, again, assuming you run a lot of zone coverage, or even if you run man and you have your two high safeties playing a lot of zone, that's what I do. A deep zone KO is tremendously valuable, and you should really focus on getting two safeties that can get this ability. If you can't afford players who get the deep zone KO, again, you can focus on people who get deep in and then also deep out. Deep out is going to be better because you're allowed 11 AP on defense. I wouldn't be mad if you got a setup where you had a player who got deep out for one and that same player got deep in for one. I don't know the exact number of players who get that set up in different buckets, but if that was a way that you would have to make it work, I'm okay with that because it's such an important ability, such an effective ability. If you run a lot of man coverage, you're going to want to look for deep route KO, so this is going to be the equivalent to deep out zone KO. But in man coverage, I use this on my outside corners because I run so much man coverage. So we got Team of the Year Patrick Surtain out there. Sauce Gardner gets it, but like I said, he's better as a slot defender in my opinion. DRC from the Combine promo, you can't see him on this list here, but he gets it as well. So this is going to be outside the numbers and 20 plus yards down the field. The only problem with this is that if your guy is in man coverage and somebody throws at him, it's usually either going to be an interception because he's playing really good man coverage, or the defender is lost and he got smoked, especially on streak plays because press is so bad this year, and he's not even going to be close enough to get that knockout. So one thing that I like to pair with, and it's ability that's not frequent right now, so it's not really going to show up on this list, but I'm going to warn you about it for going forward. One step ahead. So one step ahead is an X factor on DRC, and after 9 plays it lights up and stays on for the entire game. As you can see, Luke Kuechly and Jeremy Chin, the only players that get it at a discount. If we start to see players get this for 2 or 1 AP going forward, specifically cornerbacks, look out for this one. One step ahead plus deep route KO is going to be really good for a man coverage scheme, and you throw like a pick artist in there, which is still a very, very valuable ability to me on defense. Like, I don't like having my defensive backs play without it. It's sad that we need an ability like pick artist for them to catch balls that are thrown right at their face. That sounded kind of crazy, but you guys know what I meant. So I don't undervalue pick artists. If you can't find room for it because there's other discounted abilities you want to activate, I totally understand, but for me, I try to make it a priority to choose pick artists even over like a zone knockout ability. But again, that's because I run so much man coverage. Pick artist still really, really good. And just going back to the knockouts, you got medium route KO, which is going to be the same as like a mid zone KO, but instead it's for man coverage, 10 to 20 yards, and short route KO is basically the same thing, but it's going to be from the line of scrimmage up to 10 yards. This one is also pretty good if you put it on slot defenders who are always going to be in man coverage. I prefer the flat zone KO or mid zone KO because I do tend to put my slot defender in a zone occasionally to guard, like, you know, RPOs and table routes against running backs. But other than that, I think that covers it. You know, I'm kind of missing some X factors. Like, we could talk about reinforcement and universal coverage, but those are really unique to players that get the lighted up X factors, kind of like we talked about with Unstoppable Force, which is just so OP that I don't want to not mention that one. But universal coverage, reinforcement, really good for getting knockouts and playing tighter coverage. Film study, you know, if you're, I don't want to disrespect anybody, but if you're kind of a noob at the game and nobody gets it for a discount, it's 3 abilities points at minimum. But if you're not very good at the game and you have a trouble kind of picking up on tendencies of what your opponent might be running, film study is going to be for you. I hate going against it, and we'll see if any players start to get this one at like a super discount going forward. So I guess that's one that's worth mentioning, and really I think that's it. There's tons of other abilities, and some of you guys might use some of these that I don't. Let me know down below in the comments section which ones I need to try, which ones I'm missing out on, but I think those are the core abilities right now that you should be focusing on defense to putting on your team. Thank you guys for watching another video. My name is Popular Stranger, and I'm out. Peace.